The book that had been handed over to the squires became heavy in his hands after the encounter with Lord Hindrus. He and the warden steward looked at each other in silence, contemplating what to do with the matter that was unofficially given to them, a common ground that is rare for both Techlaw and stewards respectfully. The steward agreed to be the one to carry the book first, inspecting it for any trickery that the silver-tongued emissary may have placed into it. She took a pencil from her coat pocket and scribbled a few sentences, only to see them disappear from the pages, replaced with a simple response saying,
"Tell no one."
The warden slammed the book shut with a loud thud before placing it into her leather satchel, and parted before the squire could say another word. An hour later, she made her way to the council room, where they were waiting for her, the squire, and Vichy Rams. She suddenly stopped, hearing the sounds of two voices that were carried down the hall. As she pressed herself against the stone wall and peered around the corner, the warden saw Vinci talking to a young man dressed in a suit of armor that looked to be around the same age as the artist. He was handsome by the warden's standards that displayed a facial and physical stance that showed heroic standards, yet he displayed the eyes and ears of a scholar as he listened to Vinci venting rather boldly.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is Hindrus's doing.
It's more than just Asher Hindrus's contribution to my frustrations. Everyone knows what I am capable of, yet they don't value my attempts of redemption or being at all pleased based upon their standards' admirable capabilities.
I understand the frustrations of not releasing the creative essence.
You, really, a scholarly knight, know what it's like to contain and give only little release of my power and essence without my brush, that I am forced to be held back?
But the council is not doing this to bleed it out of you into submission, Vinci. They're only thinking about the people of Thalamus just as much as you do. And with the Techrium being in short supply, the citizens are already feeling desperate for more supplies. There also have been rumors of an underground sales operation to strengthen and present strong essence to people who need extra support for the things coming up.
This is what happens when they go all industrial and will rely on sources they do not understand.
This is far beyond your political viewpoints towards the king and King Yob of Corinth. He had to use a majority of the essence in his nation's resources and treasuries in an attempt to help find Princess Inez. We can't afford to lose any more alliances if we are to trade or assist other nations. And with the Cerbrum Kingdom already crippled by the lack of their resources after the Polaris War, we need to rely on our neighbors anyway.
Meanwhile, Knight Commander Zontril is overtaking Thalamus at this point. The people will become more edgy when he takes the full reins of control of the stores.
Zontril is young and ambitious.
No kidding. You certainly love to defend that zealot of
I'm not... Like you, Vinci, he came from nothing. Yet that timid boy is now an ambitious young man who has to live up to so much after all that Lady Lupin has granted him. No doubt he'll try to milk your Techrium sources dry.
Oh, a little late for the Knight Commander, I'm afraid. When there's a mess-up of a monster that you have to end up killing that the council is concerned about, there may be some dry because of it. Even if he knows all things in connection to the Techlium that I gave him already, along with the names of the sellers, how much more does he want from me? Or more likely, how much more greater expectations are we supposed to stumble and fall?
Desperate people always want more to prove what society expects out of them. They press others to do it, yet they don't reciprocate in kind. Don't change for them. Change for the best version of yourself, Vinci. It'll all be okay.
Thanks, Owen.
Mako watch over you.
Give my best to your brothers. If you are to become a gossip messenger, lass, you need to check your position. If you could see the audience, they can see you. No, it's all right. You're one of the decent wardens that can keep their heads low. You're just doing your job, making sure that it don't stray away. For whatever reasons, why, you tell me. No matter. All three of us will know why the minute we walk through that door, what is going on. Yes, you, the Knight Captain, Squire, and I have to be present in the room down the hall. Normally, it's not appropriate for such a case to have a warden seers in the room, especially if they are still in the novice age. Yet, the Knight Captain managed to beat Hindrus in his own little game of sending goons to spy on me.
Be sure to keep her in her place. Who knows what she might come up with in that clever and beautiful mind of hers.
Hey! You alright? You seem a bit distracted. Surprised you didn't recognize Prince Owen. Then again, he's a better knight captain than a prince. Wait, you thought Owen and I are... No. I see him more as a normal person that I could call a friend. The fact that we grew up together along with his older brother, Lawrence, and his baby brother, Rianne. Well, the Thalamus royal family always had an estate near the city. And apparently, Owen wanted to stay in the city he loved so much that he decided to join the Teklar forces of Atar to be with its people and its inhabitants. Owen is a simple man, yet he knows all forces outside of royal teachings, decency, and relatability. Since he is second born, he and his little brother have a little more freedom to choose what their paths lead them to. For Rianne, it's being a scholar. For Owen, he took up Teklar training. A seeker of justice and a seeker of truth. He earned his titles the normal way, and not took advantage of his royal entitlements to get what he wanted in the end.
Excuse me, Miss Rams. The council requests your presence at this time.
All right. I'll be right inside soon. Thank you. Listen, lass. Things may not be all about puppies and flowers within what I'll be proposing. So your reactions of what I will say and address will be critically important. Just try not to react to things that you and the squire may suspect by now. the head of the Draconicus with the seal of the local Teklar head regiment as proof of my half of the terms, and I am here to discuss the further elaboration of them.
Victoria Rams, I see that your ambition and drive to complete a task has yet to be diminished. You look well, healthier even.
You're welcome. Now, about the terms. I have a portfolio here that I have self-inflicted my time upon myself for this occasion.
Self-infliction is too bold of a word for this matter, Miss Rams.
I meant...
We hear you, Miss Rams, although I will admit that we were at first skeptical of the claims of reformation after reading Dr. Newcastle's report. How much you fought during your time of withdrawal and filtering yourself away from the tech relarium all in 4 weeks.
Are you saying that my integrity is extinct? Or that that Dr. Newcastle's words aren't credible for you all?
It may as well be, given the nature of your crimes.
Crimes? Since when is unleashing powers and having to release the essence from my body and brush a crime?
Let's say, having administrated format in multiple unauthorized meetings, selling animals that were drawn and come to life without a general administration obligation, and finally, the revisiting of an individual that the council deemed undesirable, number 1. Do you deny any of these actions?
I am aware of the actions that I had done, but given that there was a lack of resources throughout my crimes, I'm elected to say that it was necessary.
How by all that is above and below is it deemed necessary, Miss Rams? How do we know you didn't go underground during your recovery?
Meanwhile, you and the council members were all aware of what I was doing that keeps me from suffocating for the pressure of the powers building up in me. And I was advocating for those who were turned away and needed my help.
You created monsters that were infected by this unidentifiable form of tech.
Okay, 1. I tried to express the matter of the subject to the council, but they were too busy with the coma and the chaos of it that you and other Teklars have neglected those who wanted to express and expose potential growth for the nation without being smothered.
That's enough! Who did what, and why they did it, must wait. Bring forth your proposal, Miss Rams.
This is rather impressive, even with the incomplete sketches. How is it these haven't come to life yet?
See the crane drawing in your hands?
Yes?
Notice the missing eye? That, along with other sketches that have parts, lines, and details of the subject matter that are missing. They are drawings that remain dormant until I summon them by completing the artwork with the brush.
Your point, Miss Rams?
Of course. Forgive my good manners. These were drawn as a means to keep me from suffocating in my essence, as mentioned before, that would build up and to show up all that when I'm ready to return to the field. I have done my part, and now I'm ready to discuss the...
You cannot wield your brush just yet.
What? To quote the 25th letter of the alphabet, why?
Careful, girl.
I mean, why, sir?
You just barely got through the withdrawal process, and after the last time we all met this way, how you experimented with forces you cannot understand. Who's to say you won't do it again?
I cannot understand, or you all?
You go too far, Victoria.
For that she does. For you see, my lords and ladies, this is why we must see for ourselves if Miss Rams is capable of following through with missions without the aid of her beloved tool.
And how am I supposed to do a mission without
You need to learn to control your ambitions, Miss Rams. Keep the creative essence at bay until we see that it is the appropriate time for you to earn that brush back.
But for how long?
How long, my dear?
Until I go insane? Then that would be the time when all of you would be satisfied enough to prove your planned points right.
Miss Rams, we understand that you are trying and that you took great measures to make sure that things are made right. Even if it seems unbearable to you, given that a lot is on the line for you.
Are you saying what I've done for these people, for you all, wasn't enough?
On the contrary, dear Miss Rams, your determination and self-discipline are inspiring. Yet, who's to say you wouldn't fall among those who breed toxic influences like rabbits, to which many aspects of the Council can identify or deem acceptable, no matter their intentions.
Funny you mention that, Lord Hindrus, for I already took the liberty to have the contacts of those I trusted previously in this orb, while those that I no longer associate with are burned with the Draconicus's corpse. These two are the witnesses of the latter action that are in this room right now, while Abnon's apprentice has the orb.
Is this true, girl? The orb, please. Thank you, darling. Once again, my condolences to you for your master's crossing.
The room went quiet as Lord Bardock and the rest of the council members observed the orb and the documents that the artist presented to them. The squire stood beside Knight Captain Owen, his eyes on the warden as she stood by Vinci. Their eyes met, uncertain of the outcome of the supposedly tainted steward, as she and Hindrus gave side glares, like starving wolves ready to attack over a corpse. The squire felt a tap on the side of his left foot, catching his attention.
Keep watch over those two just to make sure she doesn't give Hindrus a solid kick. They have been at each other's throats for as long as I can remember. Asher Hindrus was formerly a landowner's son who branded him unworthy of his inheritance and being part of the house due to lacking, in essence, wielding abilities. To shorten the tale, he made his way to Atad and joined the council as a steward emissary apprentice. Fast forward years later, his honey-coated tongue and crafted words got him to be in connection with the royal family and stewards of all nations and the Congressional Congress. Let's just say that those two have had the battle of intelligence in many formats. Until she turned 13, Vinci would beat the living snot out of Hindrus for his words against her creativity. Usually the fights would go on until Lord Darion threatened to send both of them to the Weaver for 3-day assignment runs as punishment, if they continued to paint each other's faces with bruises and blood. Fortunately, one visit to that wretched creature convinced both of them that physical violence wasn't an option as stewards. Glad you found their history amusing, lad.
Lord Bardock, I apologize for being so late, but there's a matter of something we need to address. I received word from one of our scouts. He returned severely wounded, as if he were ambushed, but he didn't seem human.
What do you mean?
It's best if you see this yourself. Bring him in.
A man limped as two guards supported him into the courtroom from either side of his body, which was littered with cuts and bruises that were potent and had the unpleasant smell coming from the yellow-green ooze that gushed out of him. He looked human, except for the vast amount of brown feathers that were shown on various parts of his body. His arms were replaced with long wing feathers. His left arm, the only one to display what looked like a human hand. His hair, along with matching feather imprinted in him. He had a coarse texture to it that looked like strands of a horse mane that reached his mid-chest area. A set of horse ears framed the head, which had no mouth nor nose. In its place was a large predator beak like a hawk. His lower body bore no tail of any measure. His right leg had the impression of a bird's talons, while the other contrasted with a horse's hind leg, giving a clomp and a scratchy noise as he walked and gripped the stone floors.
Lamar? What has happened to you? Lamar! Guards, take him to the infirmary, now!
Yes, my lady.
Well?
We couldn't retrieve his ability to speak. Even the healers can't reverse the enchantment. He's been in and out of consciousness with a high fever.
And from the smell of whatever has infected him, there's likely been some form of poison injected into him. I recall seeing something like this from citizens that seemed to grow ill and die after the last tithing rations. Only a traveling trio of healers managed to stop the sickness. They left before I could interrogate them for information.
Do you think this is Teklium related?
I cannot say. But no doubt there will be a thorough investigation on the matters of such horrors inflicted.
And what of Lamar?
Unless the Maker provides a miracle for us to repair his speech, we cannot do anything about this man's condition.
Perhaps. But there is one who has been trained in the means of serious cryptic spells and unknown essence arts. One I believe we, the Council, owe debt to.
No!
No? I'm surprised you jump into refusing.
Barnabas may be the one who first confronted and helped me in my darkest times, even so as much as letting me see the error of my ways, but I promised him peace and not to have him drag into any more council affair.
But Dr. Newcastle can see to repairing Lamar's condition, to be able to track down the wielder of this sorcery essence, and this could be the crucial key we need to find out what has happened to those who had disappeared in the past 6 moons, along with finding out the fate of both Kyle Chiron and Luca Morzen, knowing what's going on before more chaos uproots itself from the ground up. Do you know where he is residing, Miss Rams?
You can't be serious.
This is not only the right way to do this, but it will give you a diversion from you pacing around trying to figure out what the fate of our decision is for your parole. By the time you return with Dr. Newcastle, then we will make an executive decision on what the next step will be as a steward.
But Lord Bardock!
You will continue to be monitored by both the steward and the warden in transport.
But I can handle it, and...
Didn't you say that you wanted us to see that you have changed? This is a chance to prove your integrity. Why the apparent restraint?
Condemned by my own words. Very well. But the squire needs more than a small sword. With the blessing of the knight captain, of course.
To which I give without question, Miss Rams.
It's decided then. Tomorrow, you, the squire, and the warden will be going to the stone forest and retrieve the mage. Any questions or concerns? Good.
I will require my paintbrush for this mission then.
At this point, we can't risk you wielding such power too soon. Surely it's not necessary to simply find and retrieve a fellow steward, Miss Rams. Return with Dr. Newcastle, and we shall discuss the matter of your brush later, like we discussed earlier.
But
You are excused, Miss Rams.
As you wish, sir.
Good luck, Victoria. I hope that the natives see you as a fitting choice for their future queen of their storm forest.
Why?
Because you are so stone cold towards those who wish to help you, I figured you need a little something to melt that stone into gravel and puddle.
By the maker! Why that man is so insufferable! By the void's hounds!
Give her time. She'll cool off after 10 minutes of banter outside of the library. Closer than I expected. Get some sleep and remember to report to us any slight change in her behavior. Good night.